You're such an asshole.
I don't know if chicken soup ever really helped with it just feels better, I think. I just think it feels good. Or maybe back in us, we're going way back in the times. Obviously, so we're talking about black men. Brothers, tell me if I'm wrong here. Didn't it feel a hell of a lot better? Okay, you get chicken noodle soup, hot chicken noodle soup. Well, that's good unto itself, sure. But didn't have a magnified of times 10 effect if your caring, loving ma gave it to you or a caring, loving woman? Like, oh, here you go, like, ah. Of course, biophysiologically, I doubt chicken noodle soup. It just felt better. I'm just saying it was nice in the times, in the day. All right, we're not here, Tom. I'm just whining because I'm sick. I have an interesting question. Hi, Aaron. Older black man's got out of poverty and couldn't put it down. So interview with O'Shea. Oh, yeah, good old O'Shea Jackson, vlogcast channel from about 4 years ago. He blew up. He's huge now. You mentioned that the Republican Party has an opportunity to make inroads with black males, and I wholeheartedly agree. That said, it's hard to tell the difference from black folks who truly care about conservatism, such as Thomas Sowell, versus black folk like Candace Owens, who are claiming to be conservative because she realizes that being conservative pays better. I think the delineate now. I'm no political analyst, but if you're trying to figure out who's sincere and who's not, if it's a cute set of TNA supporting a cause, chances are they're not sincere. Because I think guys, they just can't rely on TNA and tee, I like Republicans, yay. The dude can't do that. And I've said this before. I don't know if you've ever consumed any of this or heard this before, but Thomas Sowell is among other black men. Herman Cain, who's on the cover of this, like, they're not just legit conservatives, and I say they're hardcore, but they're truly independent-minded dudes, and you'll find amazingly intelligent black men who switch. Because in order to undo all the brainwashing and rebuke the brainwashing and say, I don't know about this, I'm going to do myself, you have to be super intelligent. You have to. So it's kind of no shock that when you look at a Thomas Sowell, Walter E. Williams, I don't know if you knew him. He passed away to economist. Who's the guy? Ben Carson, heart or brain surgeon. Ben Cain or Herman Cain. Those guys. If you look at Herman Cain's background, you're like, damn, like these guys are no jokes. These are not intellectual lightweights. These are some heavy, ponderous, serious thinkers and accomplished men. So I don't, and they didn't have the easy out being a black male, like, oh, look at my titties, give me money and Scully. Oh yeah, Republicans, conservatives, OMG. So that if you're looking for one variable, is the person espousing it cute or ugly? Cute? Probably not. Ugly? Probably earned it. I know you shouldn't out your black clients, but I was wondering if you could give me an idea where out. How would I out you? Can you give me an idea where black men are legitimately trying to join the GOP? Nowhere, which isn't necessarily their fault. The GOP is just horrifically stupid and bad at marketing, but we'll get to that later. Where the GOP is generally trying to reach out to black males? Nowhere. That they're not. And it isn't because the GOP has nothing to do with them disproportionately being white, because all different races are in all different political parties. But the GOP is imagine some square, out of touch, G. Willikers, shucks howdy, suburbanite guy who think like, I was going to say Ned Flanders, but even Ned Flanders had some balls. Like, he stuck to Christ. And if he had to, he'd kick ass. But maybe as Ned Flanders was portrayed early on in The Simpsons, before you learn more about Ned Flanders, just this tapioca out of touch, has no clue about other cultures, other things going on. And that's all the Republican Party. Oh, geez, let's just go have ourselves a nice little lunch rally to help raise money for John Jonerson. Hey. And they're not. And the other thing is they're conservative by nature, so they're not revolutionaries. They're not independent thinkers. I mean, Ted Cruz, I think, is a he's very different. There'd be a guy there, but in terms of the party itself, there is no marketing, let alone tech savvy Republican. Is like, let's get. I think the most you ever saw was Donald Trump using the internet and social media to get more of an exposure to the non-boring, church-going, Andy Griffith show watching conservative base. And I think that anytime they try to make what's the word I'm looking for? Not gesture, an entourage. They try to make an attempt to court the black males. They're either afraid to that they're afraid of black males. They're afraid they're going to screw it up more than help. And they're like, okay, well, and then they bring in a Candace Owens. Let's get black people here. Let's get Latinos here. And, they're not, and I remember being part of the college Republicans, and I remember working with different Republican groups. They really are dumb people. The Democrat Party is way more intelligent. You're going to find way more intelligent. I mean, I do mean that like on an IQ basis. They're more intelligent than Republican operatives. They're more mercenary, the more Machiavellian, the more practical focus. The Republicans are like, oh my goodness, I can't believe. And it's like, dude, you need to grab a set of balls, grab a gun, and let's go. Knock it off with this tapioca pudding BS. And so what they would need, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, they would need someone like me who isn't afraid to go talk to black men as fellow human beings and say, look, where'd your women go? Do you like, that'd be immediately I go for the jugular, because women, I would say this is actually the rallying point that's going to, if anything's keeping conservative or traditionalism or free markets libertarianism alive, it's the red pill. It's the fact that men like women, and women have been completely destroyed by feminism, which is owned totally by the left of the Democrat Party brand. And I would go to any black man, but any man in particular who has lost their women. It's just the black community obviously have lost more because highest voting rates. We're going to go with and say, okay, your women have just absolutely been turned against you. Do you like them? Do you like this? And then I'd also go with an economic angle. Do you like being poor? I mean, how long are you going to vote for the Democrat? This is Lucy pulling the football. You ever see Charlie Brown, Lucy pulling the football? Do you understand that's the Democrat Party doing that to you time and time and time again? By the way, did you know the we of 200 years ago, 170 years ago, fought the revolution, a civil war to free black? It wasn't the Democrats, by the way. How is it working for you? And you're not going to get black women because they're too addicted to welfare. They have fully traded in their men for a government check and a romantic relationship with the state, with the government. And yes, there's gonna be a certain percentage of men as well who are just like, whatever, whitey Republicans, but blame them. Like the Seattle councilman who claimed that spraying the sidewalks with hoses and pressure wash, spraying the fecal material, the human crap on the streets, that would trigger chaotic, traumatic memories of people who were sprayed, black people who were sprayed by the hoses back in the day during the civil rights. They're along, you're never going to get them. But I don't know. Do the brothers like TNA? Do the brothers like women? You do? Well, let's take a look at what happened. And what I don't understand, and maybe some black men in the audience could tell me, maybe you guys do, but don't black men have an existential crisis right now? Like, where the hell did our women go? Or do you just not care? Has life been that chaotic and unstable that, I could understand we're having a kid like, I don't want no responsibility to that. Like immediately you take off. Or you've never had it. I mean, how many generations are we on now? Well, we don't need no man, fish, bicycle. Okay, got it, soul sister. We got it. But I would still imagine that genetics must kick in a little bit, evolution, and it would be nice to have a nice lady. It would be nice to have women that you can't land a helicopter on her back ass because her back goes down like this and shoots out like that. You land a whole helicopter right there. Is there any ruining? Is there any G's? Is there any? Because that's where the the Republican Party, I'm very thoroughly convinced could get at least half the male black vote if they just, whatever the next election cycle is, they start advertising, get aggressive, they get down in the dirt, they get guerrilla warfare tactics. They speak to what black men want. What do I know? So I think it's not that they don't want the black men to vote. It's not that they don't want any people to vote. I don't think they know how to interact or engage effectively. And I also think the Republican Party and conservatives in general, they do want to help out black people. And they do generally want to help out people. They're always on the ropes because they're always constantly being accused of isms and is. So anytime they try to make inroads towards a particular group, they got to be real careful. They can't be too edgy because, oops, they might be called racist or sexist. And I would argue, look, you're being called that already now, and you're not helping them. So why don't you go in there guns blazing with a zero effort given attitude, which is what Trump kind of did, and then and court them and then be bold, like, hey, who took your women? I mean, that would be a great billboard. You go to every poor part of the country or city where black people live, billboard. You know, Democrats took your women. Where are your women? And with the howls and accusations of sexism and women aren't I got it. You'd be speaking to the black man. Or just, let's say you didn't want to be that controversial. Simple billboard. Are you tired of being poor? You know, and then point out very simply the simple logic. I think they're like, look, forget what the Democrats say, forget what the Republicans say. Let's just look at it like the space aliens from outer space. They look at Detroit and say, you know what? Those policies don't work for those people. Forget whether they're black or white. It doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't work. Now, do we want to have a fifth, sixth, whatever generation we are on now of black people living in poverty? And now you've read the book, but obviously mine delves into it more detail with numbers and statistics and everything. But something as simple and blunt like that, you're going to alienate, you're going to ruffle a lot of feathers. But could you imagine how scared the Democrat Party would be if you all of a sudden got 50% of the black male vote? Their warning sirens and bells would be going off. Because the Democrat Party, that's all they've been playing since Lyndon B. Johnson. Look it up. We'll having those bleepers voting for us for the next 100 years. If you all of a sudden, if the Republican Party started making inroads to non-white males, essentially, that would threaten the stranglehold that the Democrat Party, that would threaten all their power, because that's it. That's their Achilles heel is division among traits. You can't say race because they also divide us across gender, sexual preference, ethnicity, religion, any trait they can get. Those rat bastards over there are oppressing you. Well, you know this. You read the book. Right? But I don't think the Republicans are that ballsy. They're not. I'm not saying there aren't guys. I mean, there's a ton of Republicans that are like, let's bring it on. We got the guns. Let's go. Like, they're angry. I mean, they're just waiting and chomping it. I'm talking to the politicians. I'm the ones that had to be diplomatic. That's just not in their psychological character or fabric. So I always thought about approaching the Republican Party and say, look, I'll be your Skunks Work. And Skunks Work is, I think it's a division of Lockheed Martin. And they were kind of a black ops organization. They created the SR-71 Black. I could be wrong, but that's what they did, is like high level secret plane stuff. And everything was tippy top secrets. And that's what I think the Republican Party needs. They need like a Skunk Works, a black ops organization that just goes in and does shit that most people would never think the Republican Party was capable of doing. And if they need to have it separated, like we can, like the Democrats have Antifa, So the Republican Party has whatever the Skunk Work Republican Party would be called. And it'd be best if there was no such party or identified. It would just be truly, it'd be Fight Club. The first rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. People don't know. Wasn't it the Chinese? Like, there's no name for the Chinese secret agencies because they don't even mention it. So, like, that's how, and it would just be like, I really like the billboard idea. Some crazy billboards start going up, if for any other reason to start pissing people off. But yeah, it would not be that hard of a, because you could see it, I could see it. I think most of the audience here can see it. Conservative, Republican, or liberal, simply not Democrat black males can see it. We could see, like, here's your formula. It's as easy to make a chocolate chip cookies. Just do this, and you'll get, because you can't get. I guess you could get 6 percentage points less of the black male vote, and then you got zero. I mean, dude, what do you got to lose? 6% of a population that's only 6% of the population. But I think the Republicans are just a bunch of ballless, sackless morons. They're not that bright. They're not that bright. And they're not that courageous or ballsy. Except for Cruz, I'm real impressed with Cruz. Herman Cain. He was the guy. He would have been the guy, man. He would have been the guy. But no, they got some dirt on him, and then he dropped out. We can't have that. That would have been cool to have Herman Cain. All right. Let's see if there's any. So let me make sure I got. Are black men legitimately trying to join the G? No, because why would they? No one's sending them a different message. I think slowly, and we've seen this as the red pill, as they've consumed more and more online material. And by red pill, I don't mean just as it applies to the girls. I mean, it applies to everything. Men are waking up about finances. Josh Fluke, for example, is a perfect example of a man who's like waking people up to the realities of corporate employment. So as black men consume all the media everybody else does on the internet and everything, they're slowly waking up. Where the GOP is generally trying to reach out to black males, they're not. They're absolutely not. And I'd like any Republican who works in the Republican Party at whatever level, you show me your project. You show me, we did a commercial. Here you know how the Republican Party thinks they're going to get black males to vote for them. Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's their idea. Okay, that's who it is. There it is. Their strategy is we're going to get Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But it's about 98% accurate. That's what, well, he'll just be Carlton, you know? And it's like, no, you most black males are not Carlton from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But yeah, I guarantee that's what their outreach is. Where are we gonna get this? Like, no, you need to go in way more gritty, way more down to earth, way more real. Because let me ask you this. Have you heard one message from the Republican Party or one advertisement that resonated with you as a black man? Not that that's the only way you view politics or anything like that, but did anything speak to you from the Republican Party? Did anything? I mean, there's a lot. I got some ideas, man. I don't tell a lot, but I got a lot of ideas. Republican Party could hire me anytime they wanted for lots of money. Playa. But yeah, and so I don't see anything changing. I mean, if you want, I don't recommend this to be a waste of time, but if you want, go check out your local Republican Party chapter. Just sit on a meeting. Well, first they'll flood you. Oh my God, a black person. Hi, can we dress you like Carlton and have you make speeches? After that, just watch them. You'll be like, man, they are very inept. They do not know what they're doing. This is boring ass shit. The Republican Party isn't fun. I mean, I'm not saying it's got to be fun and action and craziness, but I mean, you go there and a lot of it is there aren't any cute girls there too. But it's pretty boring. It's pretty milky toast. All right, let's see. Oh, by the way, if you're interested, you guys can all get my book, The Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty. I try to keep it as apolitical as possible, but that's almost impossible because obviously the nature of racial poverty is naturally political. But for those of you who happen to be black men and you want to get out of poverty, go get that book. I guarantee you it will do more to get you out of poverty than the government ever has, because it hasn't. Our future MD one. I got a new computer screen. The graphics aren't that great. $10. Black guy here. The DNC have screwed the black folks for over 30. 30? 30? Go back to 1969. Look up Lyndon B. Johnson. 30. They've been screwing them over since, what is 60? That's 40, 35, 50, 55 years. Way more than that. Libertarian Party makes the most sense, yes, but the GOP demonizes us for not reason. Demonized for not what? But you demon? How did I don't believe the Republican Party demonizes black men though for not reason. They expand on that a little bit, but you have the Republican Party like just definitely afraid of being called any kind of Easterism. So I don't see that. All right, there you go. Questions, answers, assholeconsulting.com. I'll see you guys later. Toodles.